Prepare to meet an exceptional force in the world of design and architecture. Our guest for today is the acclaimed academic and industry expert, proudly serving as the chairperson at the School of Design and Architecture at the esteemed Manipal Academy for Higher Education at their Dubai campus. With a career spanning more than 2 decades, she has made her mark both in academia and in practical realms of architectural design. However, she is not just an academic, but a groundbreaking researcher, having conducted her doctoral studies in the UK. Her work centers on urban planning, neighborhoods, and social cohesiveness, particularly focusing on expat residents in Dubai. She broke new ground and earned her the coveted CIOB Research Paper Award. In addition to her academic pursuits, she has honored her skills in the field of project architecture with prominent design consultancies within the UAE. But her passion extends far beyond the drawing board and classroom. She is a fervent advocate for sustainability and youth development, shaping the future. She leads the charge in numerous environmental initiatives, and her commitment to sustainability has been acknowledged by the Environmental Agency in Abu Dhabi with repeated awards. She is the proud ambassador for Women in Construction, an active mentor for the Link program for Women Mentorship, and dedicated volunteer in advancing the net zero team for communities and infrastructure. We're thrilled to welcome Dr. Bhakti More. Joining Dr. More is a creative maven who has successfully brought over 350 projects to life in the past 15 years as the design director at Horton Interiors. She has been the driving force behind creating a robust portfolio of design-orientated fit-out projects. With an unyielding dedication to innovative thinking and fresh concepts, she is consistently delivering bespoke designs tailored to suit client needs, underpinned by a comprehensive research, engaging visuals, and detailed interior packages. Her formidable technical expertise helps guide the design team to craft solutions that perfectly marry creativity and practicality together. An exemplar of multidisciplinary problem solving, she leverages her knowledge spanning workplace, retail, corporate, and hospitality design to conjure up unique and creative solutions. Always striving for a holistic view of the team, she works hand in hand with the managing director to develop key performance indicators that capture the essence of the team's performance. So stay with us as we dive deep into the intersection of creativity and practicality with Neelanchana Kumar. Welcome. Bring it in, ladies.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We've tried to get you a couple of times, but clients being what they are, they turn up. And
it's difficult, but here I am, especially because she's here.
Of course. So please, let's kick things off with just explaining the relationship between Manipal, Dr. Bhakti, yourself, and Horton.
She was my teacher.
And you're still talking to her.
And sitting next to me.
Yes. Yeah.
So she actually taught me AutoCAD back in university first year. So I think I know her for almost, 20 years now?
So you're to blame for her proficiency in AutoCAD, right?
Definitely. Yes. So we've been in touch. I mean, she's a lovely human being, apart from being a professor, of course. And we've been in touch all over the years, and she's actually helped me, mentored me to a certain extent, and she's enabled me multiple times because I've always spoken about doing my PhD.
Yes.
And she's the only one who's actually pushed me for it. She said, you can do it. Yes. These are the topics that you should probably think about.
Yes.
And I'm so happy to see her in the current role that she is into with so much of experience in the industry. So always good to see her.
Yeah. Okay. So would you say that she was the teacher? Because we all have the teacher that really influenced us. I know who mine was, and there was a secondary school teacher called Mr. Kritikos in English. I'm dyslexic, so he thought like there's no chance. Well, I thought there was no chance, and he just encouraged me, and I ended up getting 2 Bs in English at GCSE, because of the teacher, which was Mr. Kritikos. So would you say that Dr. Bhakti is the teacher?
I think to an extent, yes.
Yes.
For sure. Actually, we were just outside talking about the teacher. She was someone who actually really influenced me and pushed me to continue doing interiors because I wasn't really keen on doing interiors in the beginning.
Okay.
So she, along with Dr. Bhakti, were two
Name drop us a
Dr.
teacher.
Prasanna. So
Dr. Prasanna.
yes, so
For season 2, Dr. Prasanna, we're going to get you on.
so she's amazing. She was fantastic, and she actually pushed us into doing a little more of interior architecture.
Okay.
So she got the interiors and the architecture sort of blended, and that's actually got me a lot more excited
Lovely.
about it. Yeah.
So, Dr. Bhakti, could you tell me a little bit about your career journey into architecture and design and where it all began for you?
Yeah, so teaching was always my passion. But when I came to Dubai, I worked in the industry and I did part-time teaching, and that's where Neelanchana was a student of mine. But I then realized in long terms that this is something that I really love, and you need to be very passionate for being a teacher
Yes.
because it's all about learning, and I have learned so much from the students. So then I moved into the full-time teaching. So after working in the design industry in the UAE, then moved to full-time teaching. Then I did my doctoral studies. Then now I'm into the whole teaching role itself.
Yes.
But it's always a journey, and it's all about bridging the gaps between academia and industry.
Of course.
So I keep doing that very often. So I'm also currently in the academia, but I like to connect a lot with the industry.
Yeah. It's the corporate skyscraper versus the ivory tower of academia, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, but I can see why, you stuck with teaching rather than the practical, because that spark is really compelling to see that ignite within someone, isn't it? Just to see the fire glow and the passion exude from them. So hat off to you for dedicating your life to doing that and bringing students out into the world and progressing the market as well. So thank you on behalf of all the students that you've taught. I'm sure you were a fantastic teacher and continue to be. And I know that you work really hard. You've actually been working all week, even though it's the summer and there's no students in, and you're working this weekend.
I enjoy my work, and it's like more of a passion.
Yeah.
So if I don't work, I don't like it.
Of course.
It's all the fun that's there.
Of course.
So this is where we get the whole working all 24/7 sort of, vibe, which is that I think we get it from the, millennials actually work a lot. But if you look at the newer generation, you go to the Gen Z, the Gen Y, the Gen A, they cannot work like how we work. They want their, constant breaks, and they have their work-life balance. And I'm yet to find my work-life balance, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I don't really believe in work-life balance. I think there's a work-life blend that can happen. Sometimes you work from home, and then sometimes you home from work and you do your shopping on Amazon or Clase Netto or, Lulu or whatever it is. And, I think it is that blend. But I think we're starting to understand now that overwork is pretty disastrous for people as well, and burnout ensues. So I think there's a good marrying between the two generational approaches, and hopefully we can find like somewhere in the middle where we actually get to rest and relax and spend time with our family and cook a meal, all that sort of stuff. So as part of academic practice, there's also doctoral research that you have to do as part of that. So tell me a little bit about that, and mainly, how do you get the motivation to do doctoral research?
Yeah, it all is about your interactions with supervisor and other students who do doctoral research.
Yes.
And it's something that you have to be very passionate about, because you do it for like 3-4 years, the same topic. And if you don't like it, then it's likely that you're going to leave it.
Of course.
So it's important that you enjoy what you do.
Yeah.
So my topic was on the urban planning and social cohesiveness of the expat population in Dubai. So I looked at neighborhoods and how people socially interact, and what role of urban planning is there in terms of getting people together.
Okay.
Because this was a long time before COVID. And during COVID, we all realized how important it is to socially connect. We are human beings, and if we don't interact, we lose out a lot. So I think that my topic was more on getting people in open spaces in the neighborhoods.
Okay.
And then I looked at studying some neighborhoods and trying to get those outcomes as what policies could do, how important it is to get people to participate in the physical open spaces.
Any key findings or sound bites that we might be able to glimmer from your research?
Definitely that social cohesiveness is the key for urban living. And today we talk a lot about communities, and communities can really shape the way people live in the urban fabric.
Yeah.
So it's important for architects, designers, urban planners to look at these aspects.
And of course, it's such a diverse community over here.
Yeah.
We're bringing in so many different nationalities, age groups,
Definitely.
generations, within these neighborhoods, more so than other regions around the world. So that social cohesiveness really has to be on point, and some of the activities that are arranged in some of these areas and districts, I think, is what's bringing people together and creating that camaraderie as a local region in the districts, and then also as a broader region of Dubai and the UAE itself. So I think it's got to be trickling down from the leadership somehow, but I think they're doing a pretty damn good job.
Yeah, and we share and learn from different cultures. So that's where the cohesiveness can be more stronger, with different nationalities coming together in different communities.
Okay, so this research was slightly different from the one that you won the award, the CIO. Oh, it's the same one. Right, okay.
And I would like to tell you a story about it. When I presented a research paper,
Please.
my supervisor said, don't submit it. It's bad.
Really?
And I said, no, let me submit this first presentation of mine. And when they announced my name, I really did ask people around me, is it me? Because he had said, don't even go ahead with it. And it was awarded for the best innovative research.
Wow.
So I can't still believe that. And then he said that, you could do much better. And that's why I said that.
So was your mentor then eating their own hat at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah, and rightly so.
Yeah. So it was its first experience, but there's a lot you can do in research and innovation.
Okay.
So there's no end to what you can really go up to.
So your mentor missed the mark there, but you're also a mentor yourself, and you mentor a lot of women in the industry as well. So you could tell me a little bit about that.
I would say that I'm a fan of mentorship because I have been a mentee, and my mentor has been very instrumental in guiding, and it's also about having a journey together. So I volunteer a lot to do this mentorship, and especially I'm part of women mentorship programs, and I learn from them. And it's about building that space between a mentee and a mentor.
Yeah.
So it's not that you know every mentee that you're connected to, but it's about having the trust. And when you feel really good when you're instrumental in shaping their careers. And so I'm part of some programs. And it's more about getting together, knowing each other, spending time. And it's also many times virtual. So I've never seen those mentees, but I'm still connected. And though the formal mentorship engagement is, say, over, but I still continue with them.
So this is a question probably to both of you, but I'd start with you if I may, because you've got the longest tenure, 20 years in the industry and the region. Not at all. It's mostly on my side. How have you seen the industry change in terms of its approach to women over the last 20 years? Because it must have been starkly different from when you first came to the region as it is today. And I'd like to open that up to yourself after you've had your opportunity to go.
Definitely, if I see years back, the number of women who took these courses in design and architecture, interior design, were less compared to the men. But now it's not the same. It's completely different. It's switching over probably. And the field is open for everyone. And maybe years back, things were very different when it came to on-site construction industry would find very few women. But today, there are women who become the leaders there. And then the industry is now very open to what it was 10 years back.
Yeah.
So I see the change, and probably Neelanchana would like to add her experience.
So when I started out back in university, I think we had a class of 30 girls, not a single boy, right? So we studied just with girls, all the interaction and, connection and collaboration, everything happened with just women. And when I got into my first, work experience, so to speak, I was the only girl. I was just the only girl, and everybody else were like, male engineers, architects. And it was very difficult at that point because they didn't really take you seriously. First of all, you're an interior designer, so they always sort of mix it up with being a decorator, which is very different from being a designer, of course. And they didn't give you that importance. And especially, like you said, going to sites was a challenge. because, it's hot, you're not used to it, there are a lot of men, and how do you sort of navigate through that? Obviously, things have changed, but there is still a little bit of, I think it would be perception. So if a woman is going, it's only to do the decoration or the aesthetics, not to talk about the details, not to talk about the engineering, not to talk about the money. They only look at you for making things look beautiful.
Okay.
So obviously, it's a perception that has to change, and you have to do a little extra compared to your male counterpart to make them understand that you know what you're talking about. But that's, I think, a challenge that we have to face on a daily basis. And
It's more about mindset.
yes,
Sets and I think
100%. Recently, I had a client. Myself and my colleague Sandra, we went for the meeting, and we had a Russian client. They came in and they looked at us and they're like, "Where are the men?" They were like, "No, we were expecting big men to come in for construction, not two women to come in." And they were right and wrong. I mean, obviously, I got a little less offended because I've been, hearing it. But my colleague was like, "Why aren't we enough?"
Yeah.
But that's something that we have to keep, I think, addressing and working on as and when we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's also the responsibility of the universities as well, because it's the university's job to prepare you for the world of work that you're going into. And if we've started to see the demographics of interior design or architecture shifting to predominantly female, and that's what I've experienced of working with literally all the universities' interior design departments, it's 95% ladies.
Yes.
So if that's the case, then we need to prepare those ladies to, be working in an environment where it's the other way around and they are now the minority, and how to prepare themselves to speak up and, have some good presentation skills, which I think is one of the main,
100%.
the main things to be able to communicate yourself is like the number one thing. You can have the best ideas, but if you can't like eloquently put those across and speak out when someone is trying to push you down, especially if you're introverted as well, it's so much more difficult if you're introverted, but not impossible.
Yeah, these soft skills is very important because the hard skills you're learning as part of your curriculum.
Yeah.
But soft skills, communications, how do you present?
Yes.
All these are very
And also, I know it sounds odd, but selling yourself, right? It's not just about pitching the design that you've created or pitching the company that, you represent.
They're buying
It's
you.
all
Faith in you. That's what they're
exactly.
Yeah.
So when we go in as a designer, as an architect, as a whatever, the person who you are actually going to work with, we need to sell ourselves. We need to make sure that the person who is going to buy our services is invested in us, believes in us, and thinks that this person can deliver. And for that, of course, talking engagements, people having to, speak on a stage to a couple of people, what to wear, how to wear, what not to wear.
Yeah.
All of these things are
How to hold yourself, how to gesticulate. All of these things are critical in all elements of different careers, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's
How to
the
keep your
industry,
face.
yeah.
Yes, how to keep your face also. Because sometimes clients tell you things that you don't really like, so you have to make sure that you're still smiling and grimacing inside.
Oh, I give it away. My face is so expressive. Like I give it away, and like I also go bright red really easy. Like you can see me just go beet red like in a moment's notice. So if you find the secret to that, now I just embrace it. I'm like, I know I'm going red. I'm going to point it out. That's how I get over it.
Yes.
But yeah, hiding frustration, hiding concern, not one of my finer points.
Because it's very different world outside than what university is. Because industry, many more challenges. It's a different world.
Yeah.
So that's where it's important where the internships play a role.
Yes.
Students get to work outside while they're studying, say for a 6 months or a semester time, and they see what's happening around. It's different than their classrooms.
Yes, of course. Now, I know the team of Horton and yourself are extremely focused on sustainability. Not just this year, when it's come down from the leadership and we've got COP28, but for many years leading up to this point. And of course, sustainability is something that's very close to your heart as well. Can you tell me about some of the initiatives that you've been working on?
So some years back, almost 7 to 8 years back, we were part of the Environment Agency's Sustainable Campus Initiatives. So I'm the coordinator for it. And the students, they themselves do many initiatives. So one of them is Sustainable Green Campus Audit. So you measure your own carbon footprint of the campus, and that's the best learning for them.
Okay.
Because they work closely with facilities, managers, and they can know what's happening in terms of the emissions. the carbon emissions. And we're also committed to the UNFCCC Race to Zero Climate Action Plan, so which we launched 2 years back. So 2040.
Whose action plan is that? Sorry.
The climate action plan for the campus.
Just for the campus,
Yeah,
or for the region?
For the campus.
For the campus.
And then by 2040, we look for more of cutting down the carbon emissions for zero carbon. So that's the goal.
Okay.
And students have led the initiative. So they are more answerable, they're more responsible when they are part of the initiative.
Yeah.
And the second is to reach out to communities, which is called as a sustainable action project.
Okay.
So we collaborate with a lot of organizations. So one of them is a seeding program. So reaching up to grade 3 to 5 to spread awareness. And it's more of peer learning.
Okay.
So the youth is then going out to encourage people about sustainability, spread the awareness. And UAE is year of sustainability. So these initiatives are always continued forward. We also did the solar decathlon, building that net zero home. It's a real project.
Okay.
By Diva. So
your students are doing grassroots educating as well. Because isn't that a phenomenal way to learn as well as inspire others? See one, do one, teach one. It instills it within themselves, and they're preparing the next younger generation to think about the environment and the planet. I'll never forget my geography teacher when I was probably like 10 years old. He said something that I still think about every single day. And he's like, when you brush your teeth, do you turn the tap off? And everyone was like, no. Think of all the water you waste there. Turn the tap off when you brush your teeth, and then spit and rinse, and that's the only water you need. Every single day I think about that. What a profound effect teachers have on us. So, yeah.
And it's small acts and big impact. If everybody does it, we achieve a bigger goal.
Yeah. And is this where your passion, I think, has maybe come from for sustainability?
It's true. Because, again, like you said, it's about your foundation years and what we learn during those foundation years about sustainability, about being mindful about the environment, and those kind of principles sort of keep going and growing with you. So that's why it was very essential for me to get LEED certified. And I always keep pushing everybody from my team as well. That's one of the main things that we need to do. Be LEED certified, design LEED certified buildings. I mean, when I say LEED certification, it's about a method of measurement, isn't it? It's always better to have some sort of a measure of what you're doing for the project, for yourself. Do you also encourage students to have LEED certification?
Yeah, so we always say that before you graduate, do the LEED GA.
Yes.
And also there are a lot of tools that are introduced in the curriculum for energy simulation softwares, life cycle assessment, looking at the environmental product declaration for materials, circular economy, decarbonization. So these concepts are important for them to understand, because a lot of opportunities are also coming for them to be sustainability consultants for design firms, or look at various different aspects of sustainability. ESG is one. So it's important to revamp the curriculum based on the requirements of the industry.
Yeah. I think there's lots of organizations that see it just as a box ticking exercise, something to adhere to because it's been on a tender or an RFP, but it's obvious to me that you guys take it significantly deeper than that, and it's not a nice to have, it's an essential element of every project that you're working on.
Yes.
And the awareness still needs to come, and I'm sure in future every project will have to have the metrics to be more sustainable. And it's going to happen very soon with COP28, and there'll be policies and strategies, and you'll see the change very soon happening.
Okay. Are you talking to the students about or integrating into the curriculum at all?
Yes, we do have. So that's part of the curriculum also.
Okay.
For them to learn all the certifications.
Yeah.
And there are programs also that focus on those, like taking certification, short-term programs other than the curriculum.
Yeah. I think it probably comes under the ESG, doesn't it? Because it's not just what we're giving to the world, it's also how it affects, the employees in that facility.
So is it for the architecture students or is it for the interior?
For all the students.
All students.
All right. So this and probably many other initiatives are one of the reasons why you've received the best coordinator by the Environmental Agency in Abu Dhabi. Can you tell me a little bit about what it was like to receive the accolade? And
I think it's an award which students deserve it,
right,
because they worked.
yeah,
I was just seeing that they are doing it. That's it. But it's all their passion.
yeah,
And one thing is there that those who worked on it 7-8 years back, they are now the mentors for the same initiative, the alumni mentors. And that's how the initiative has continued.
okay,
Because they become very instrumental in encouraging and inspiring the other new generation, and it continues. Because they have a lot of opportunities, the youth today.
yes,
And UAE offers a lot for the youth
yeah,
to be part of sustainability initiatives. There are many forums they are part of. That's where many action projects. And when they see it happening, I think that's where they want to be part of it. The action project especially.
yeah, I agree. I think coming back to your doctoral studies and the social cohesiveness, for me it's really interesting because you buck a lot of trends actually, because you've been working for the same university, you've been living in Dubai for 20 years, and especially if we look at like interior designers out there in the market, they're very rarely 3 years in any organization. So what is it about Manipal, what is it about the UAE, Dubai, Karama, where you're based, that you just can't quit, that you love so much? What is that giving you that
I
social
think
cohesiveness?
it's more of what I really enjoyed over the years and what I kept learning on and continuing the journey.
Yeah.
So it's about passion. And I can't believe when you said 20 right now, I'm like, okay, it's really 20. But it's all about, what you hear in terms of learning in every stage. So like learning from students, learning from every initiative that I was part of, and the environment.
Of course.
So it's all about having fun.
Yeah. Lifelong learning.
Yeah.
And then, of course, not just sticking, for the academics, but also integrating into the corporate world as well. So what are some of the organizations that you've had the privilege of working with outside of, well, in the guise of academia, but outside of the walls of the universities with some of those organizations?
Yeah, so there's like Water Alliance, there is Search, then we're part of a lot of Industry Connect programs. So there's an industry called ANID. So, doing any programs with them.
Okay.
And there are many more, like quite a lot of different initiatives. And I like to be engaged in wherever it's possible for me with time and commitment. So it's a lot. Link program is one of them.
Could you tell me a little bit more about the Link program?
Yeah, Link program is about women mentorship. Yeah. So it's a virtual platform, and I've been a mentor since almost more than 5-6 years, meeting different people, meeting different women, and then looking at their journeys and having that bond with them. So, and it's again a formal program. So it's a 1-year commitment, but I've connected to my mentees since almost 5-6 years. They've continued the journey.
Nice.
And it's a learning for me also. I learned so much from them. So that's something where reverse mentoring comes. You're a mentor, but you're also getting mentored by your mentees.
Yeah. Probably one of the reasons why you do it, right?
Yeah.
Is for that reciprocal learning.
True.
Oh, that's really cool that you're giving back in so many different ways. Is that just the UAE or Dubai, or is it a global initiative, the Link program?
Anywhere in the world.
Okay.
So it's again connecting. So it's like they may be anywhere located. It's not necessary. It's a virtual program.
Phenomenal. And how do you see your collaboration continuing between Manipal and Horton going forwards?
There is a lot that we connect with the industry, and it's a lot of I would say exchange, which happens through knowledge. So internship is also one way of
You get to cherry pick like the best students from Manipal.
Actually, I do.
And she's been an amazing mentor. Let me tell about her, because she is really good at mentoring students, guiding them, not just onto the work part of it, but also as a personality development and overall as a designer. Because we were talking about soft skills.
Yeah.
And then if you're mentoring somebody on soft skill, I think it really makes a lot of difference.
Bringing them out of their shell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's quite daunting transitioning from university to the workplace.
And also looking at the academic reviews, the crits, the vivas that happen on their end semester projects.
Yeah.
So she's been instrumental in
Yes.
visiting and looking at the work.
I think we need a course on like corporate buzzword bingo. Going forward. All these terms, it took me like 6 years, I still don't understand them. I know these are English words, but I'm very unfamiliar with many of them. And yeah.
Well, actually, having the interns come in is always exciting. So when I finished my bachelor's, I actually did not want to start working in an organization. I actually wanted to start teaching. And I thought it was extremely exciting for me to be a part of, the university, teach people, constantly be among young people, with new ideas and be in that university age. I did not want to grow up and go into the real world, to be honest. But of course, both my professors and my parents sort of pulled me, no, you need to work in an office, in an organization with people, understand the whole process or the life cycle or the journey of a, project. And I'm happy that I did it. And but the only way that I can sort of live my dream of teaching is through mentoring and through interns. And that absolutely it's been beneficial for me as well as for the students, I believe. So, yeah.
Yeah, internships are such tricky things to obtain. I think there's also a lack of willingness to do internship. There is sometimes an expectation that they should be doing them for free. Personally, I don't think that is the case. It should be a paid position for the period of time that they're doing it. The problem with internships is that, usually you're doing it while studying, which means that it's the summer months. And then, of course, you want to travel, you want to go on holiday during the summer months, but you need to find time to work and to gain those credentials of an internship. So I think it's tricky, but it's much needed. And again, hat off to Horton and to yourself for accepting some interns and, putting them to work and giving them some industry expertise.
Yes. I hope they have nice things to say as well, the interns. But it is, like you said, I think internship is the basis of it's almost like a foot in both worlds, right? You're in the university and you're a little bit into the real world. And you can go back to university and question the teachers, like, when am I going to learn this? When am I going to learn this aspect of, the projects? And that actually makes it a lot more exciting because we are bridging the gap in a way to a certain extent. And that actually, and afterwards, when you go back to the university to review their work, and when you see their work, which is having some tidbits of what we have told them, it's an extremely gratifying experience. So that shows that they've listened, they've been part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where sometimes it's important to introduce live projects as part of your academia. So you have a real client, and then you work with the client to do a project and then present. And also at campus, whenever we have some spaces which are there, we give it to students and say, you can design it and we'll execute it. And then they see that what they have worked on paper, it's now built. And that's the more satisfying experience for them because they see it happening and they're very proud that it's something that they designed and now it's built. So we do have this life project concept. Yeah. So they have done nursery schools, reception lobbies of certain buildings. And because they are out of the box thinking, they can do something really innovative, creative. They don't have those mindsets which are very rigid.
Yeah, budget is not a constraint.
Budget is not a constraint.
The rigidity in the budget mindset comes, I find, about 18 months to 3 years into the corporate experience.
Yes. It's interesting because their concepts are also crazy, right? Somebody will have like waves and caves and what are you thinking about? And somebody had, you remember, I don't know whether you remember, there was somebody who had Little Mermaid as a concept, which is a very interesting concept because I did not know how the end result would be. And it was a nice journey. But for us in the corporate life to go and tell a client that my concept of Little Mermaid is not going to be well taken.
That's how it's like fun to have those life projects. And then when they go on internship, they are exposed to the real world and see how things work, what challenges come through. They interact with the professional world. So it's much different experience and it really adds value. So when they come back to the campus, I think they're more prepared before they graduate.
Okay. I remember reading a Michael Page report, this is pre-pandemic, probably about 5 years ago, and it was about salary expectations for students once leaving university in Dubai. And their salary expectations were 25,000 dirhams. May I remind everybody listening to this, that is an unrealistic expectation for what you're going to get when you leave university in the corporate world, at least for the first year or 18 months. And what I always advise students is, just pick a company that you really admire, right? That's what you're shooting for, is as a company that you really admire. It might not even be the job that you want, but when you're in there, you can navigate, you can curry favor and find out whether it's a position that's actually worth going for and where your talents are really best suited. So you might have to take a step down,
They
an
have to come
introductory
out of
position.
the dream world.
Exactly, to go up. It's not necessarily just a horizontal, lateral movement from university to interior designer straight away. It might require a little bit of shuffling, but if you pick a company that you admire, that's, in my mind, and what I do with my career trajectory, is the best way to find a company that you really love working for.
Yeah, and they need to decide as what is something they like to do.
Yes.
Say if it's a lighting design company or they want to get into something which is project management related. So it's about the choice, and as you said, they decide the company, and that's good to know.
Yeah.
That if they are getting an opportunity there, maybe pursue their career in that area.
Does anybody really find passion in project management? Is that possible?
If they get something in internship that they're exposed to, maybe they want to. But because they may not know what challenges are there, but if they like it, maybe they could go for that.
Challenge is the key word there. When I think project management, I think challenge. There's a whole bunch of challenges in that profession. So yeah, it's a tough one.
A lot of students have sort of diverged into other careers, not really interiors, right? We've got some people in fashion, we've got people in project management, we've got people in advertising as well. So it's not really necessary that they actually finally go into an interior design and build, or even consulting firm, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's becoming very multidisciplinary also.
Yes.
Because, for example, we've introduced a specialization in strategic branding.
Yes.
So where they look at brand management specializations or startups. So these are areas which were not there years back, but the field itself is changing and it's becoming quite multidisciplinary. So there are more career options which they can always opt for, other than their core interior design area.
Yeah, it works well, doesn't it? Like if you're designing the space for it, you've got to consider the branding. So the two go hand in hand, right?
Yes.
I remember, again, reading data. This is going back probably 10 years ago, though, now. And it was even 10 years ago, the average 30-year-old had 7 different jobs in 5 different careers. So, just because you study something at university doesn't mean you're going to end up doing. I've got a master's in psychology. I'm working, in the corporate real estate. There's a big, the massive chasm between the two of those, but there's also transferable skills between it as well.
That being said, what about the metaverse? Are we designing? Are we doing anything?
Big question.
Definitely that is attracting students because, they are what they're called as natives of the digital world. They're born in the era of...
Exactly.
So with them, I see that they're very excited when they have to do something in augmented virtual reality, look at the virtual spaces. And we do have introduced a computational design and AR/VR lab in the campus because they are going to now design in metaverse.
What about classrooms? I mean, are classrooms changing? I mean, can we have a classroom in a metaverse and can students attend the class anywhere?
Was definitely there during the COVID time.
Yes.
Where more of these platforms. So now it's more of hybrid.
Yes.
And there are opportunities where they can collaborate with so many other universities or industry professionals who are in different countries and be there on one metaverse. So I think that is something which is there. It's part of the technology, I would say. And we see those spaces changing.
So can a student leave Manipal and come out as a metaverse designer?
Yet to happen, but there is no end to technology. You never know what's going to be in future. And things are changing when it comes to technology very fast.
Yeah.
So
that'll be a whole new career, won't it? Instead of just designing the physical asset, it's designing the digital one, maybe in tandem, or maybe just designing the digital one, and that would be the primary focus. I can see that, especially with the size of, Decentraland, Sandbox, other metaverses that are out there. People are investing, millions and billions of dollars in these spaces, but yet to erect facilities. You've got like Sotheby's and like BMW and a few others and Nike that have done some wonderful spaces. What about the average Joe? The average, Joe Bloggs office that wants to be designed so their team can meet digitally in one space, but they want it to be a reflection of their physical asset as well.
Exactly.
And students are always very good at technology. They grasp things very fast in terms of tools and technology. So I'm sure, being in metaverse is going to be a very different experience for them.
Well, ladies, I could talk to you about this all day, and that was a big bomb you dropped on us there with the metaverse. I think we're going to have you back on for another episode, possibly in season 2. So a great pleasure having you on, and thank you for making it.
Thank you.